Is bottled water safer than tap water? Do you argue that it is? It's
no,
better?
I wouldn't argue it's safer or not safer.
Even Dr. Stephen Edberg, the person the Bottled Water Association told us to talk to, agreed. Bottled water is no better for you. The labels on the bottles do suggest they're special. Some show mountains or polar bears, but many of the names are wondrously misleading. You have to look at the fine print to find out that Everest water is not from Mount Everest, it's from here, Corpus Christi, Texas. Glacier Clearwater is not from a glacier. Its source is tap water from Greenville, Tennessee. Couldn't find any glaciers around here. Big selling Dasani, Aquafina, and 25% of all bottled water sold is just reprocessed tap water from cities around the country. One of Aquafina's sources is the Detroit River.
In a statement on Friday, PepsiCo said, quote, "If this helps clarify the fact that water originates from public sources, then it's a reasonable thing to do." Coca-Cola's Dasani does the same thing, purifies and bottles public drinking water.
We are now exposing an underbelly truth that is a big percentage of bottled water in this country is tap water.
Doctor, can you talk about bottled water a little bit? Is that any safer, or how do we know?
We've gone through and measured a bunch of waters, and Whole Foods, just about the same as tap water in terms of fluoride. How about Trader Joe's? Yep, same as tap water. Well, how about Arrowhead? Same as tap water. So might as well just take a hose and fill up the thing, put a lid on it, and sell it. What do you think? So we got terrible labels, and we've got companies that are willing to take advantage of that. You know, nice, clean-looking label, and basically it's junk water.
What about the filters that you can buy at home, the filters that come in refrigerators, that you can put on your faucet, the ones you can put pitchers in the refrigerators, all sorts of filters that you can buy. Do those do anything in terms of taking things like fluoride out?
No. Those filters are predominantly made up of carbon, and carbon will remove some of your thihalmethanes and make your water taste better, but they don't remove any of the fluoride. Some people think you can get it out by boiling it. It actually makes it worse. The fluoride stays in the pot, so if you started out and put 2 quarts of water in to make a bowl, a bowl of soup, and you boil it down to 1 quart, twice as much fluoride in the water that's left in the bowl.
New worries tonight about the safety of America's water supply. In the first nationwide investigation of its kind, the Associated Press found that at least 41 million of us are drinking water that contains traces of prescription drugs. And now many are wondering, is our water safe? Here's Nancy Cordes.
The Associated Press investigation reveals that nearly every drinking water supply in the country that's been tested for pharmaceuticals tested positive. 24 major metropolitan areas from coast to coast. What turned up? Trace amounts of everything from sex hormones to drugs for livestock, anti-seizure medications, prescription painkillers, even the antidepressant ingredient in Prozac.
And you say, well, how did it get there? Well, without getting too graphic, all of us who take medication for one thing or another, we don't absorb all of it. It is excreted. It gets into the sewage system, into the water treatment plants. And then, because water treatment plants can't scrub it all out, if any of it, it just kind of dilutes on into the water system.
How many water suppliers that you spoke to actually filter out pharmaceuticals?
Virtually no water supplier we talk to will claim or can claim to entirely filter out pharmaceuticals because the treatment systems aren't designed to filter out pharmaceuticals.
In Philadelphia, for example, scientists detected 63 different pharmaceuticals in the untreated watershed and 56 in the drinking water. Just a handful had been eliminated by filtration.
The EPA doesn't yet even require water providers to test for them.
Prescriptions have risen by 13% in the past 5 years to 3.8 billion a year, and Americans buy nearly as many non-prescription drugs. It all gets flushed through our bodies and into the water supply.
We are a medicalized society, and I think it's important for people to recognize the kind of public health implications of this kind of medicalization.
The concentration of drugs Americans are drinking is very low, like 1 part per billion.
If you took a sugar cube and dissolved it in an Olympic-sized swimming pool, that would be just about a part per billion. For many chemicals, it may not be something to be concerned about.
For some chemicals, they're actually designed to be active at very low concentrations like that.
At the Stroud Water Research Center in Pennsylvania, they've examined links between waterborne drugs and the feminization of male fish.
That said, I did a story about 4 years ago in which we found a river in Colorado, and now we know there are many rivers, in which the fish were turning from male to female. And the reason was because there was too much estrogen in the water. The natural female hormone was literally turning male fish into female fish, and the thinking was that this is a canary in a coal mine. So now the question is, what's the impact on humans?
So what does it mean when a human drinks water that is contaminated with these same mixtures for decades? It's really unknown.
If the risks are unclear, so are the solutions. Home filters aren't designed to remove all drugs, and bottled water often comes from the very same source as tap water. Nancy Cordes, CBS News, New York.
The water crisis in Flint, Michigan will arguably be remembered as one of the most important stories of 2016. Officials say as many as 12,000 children in the city may experience a range of serious health problems after being exposed to drinking water with high levels of lead. The far bigger problem is that thousands of U.S. neighborhoods reportedly have higher lead poisoning levels than Flint. For more details, we cross live to RT's Marina Portnaya. Marina, this is all coming from a Reuters report. They examined lead results testing results across the United States and basically found that Flint, Michigan isn't even the worst of it. What kind of chronic problem are we talking about here?
Well, Anya, we're talking about a significant problem that demands much more attention than it's getting. A Reuters investigation found nearly 3,000 U.S. areas with lead poisoning rates at least 2 times higher than the levels found in Flint, Michigan. According to Reuters, more than 1,100 U.S. communities examined had a rate of elevated blood tests at least 4 times higher than Flint. The U.S. neighborhoods with poisonous lead levels stretch from coast to coast. Neighborhoods in Pennsylvania, Texas, Ohio, and Maryland are burdened by some of the highest test levels of lead poisonings. Like Flint, Michigan, the most toxic areas are plagued by what's called legacy lead. But in some areas of Baltimore, the rates of lead poisoning reach an astounding 40%, according to Reuters. It would reportedly cost tens of billions of dollars to clean up all of the lead in America. Right now, there's barely enough money in the federal budget for lead testing. Unlike Flint, thousands of American communities have received little or no funding to combat the toxicity. According to reports, more than 500,000 U.S. children have tested for lead poisoning, and they are at or above the warning levels set by the CDC.
And remind our viewers what kind of effect lead has on human health, particularly, we know, on young children whose brains are still developing.
That's right. Well, lead is toxic. While some metals can be beneficial in small amounts, the only thing lead does to human health is harm it. Experts say lead is particularly dangerous to young children because it can permanently damage developing brains. Lead poisoning in children has been linked to lower IQs, inability to pay attention, problems with impulse control, among many other things.
The new water ionizer helps remove pollutants effectively. This produces clean, mineralized water with the most difficult contaminants reduced, and we have documented our results.
As water ionizers have spread globally, so has demand for the ultimate ionizer filter, capable of advanced contaminant removal while retaining the beneficial alkalizing minerals.
Standard treated and untreated tap water still contains urban, agricultural, industrial runoffs, pharmaceuticals, fluorides, and cleaning byproducts from the actual water treatment. You should be asking what type of filter you have in your ionizer.
As a company, we decided to dramatically advance the performance of water ionizer filtration. And the result? Literally creating the cleanest and healthiest water possible, because you deserve it.
The reason this technology came about was we saw a great opportunity to take everything that our ionizers do and make it even cleaner and healthier for you.
Toxins and chemical pollutants destroy our cells. Ionized alkaline water rebuilds our cells. But if we consume ionized water that is not clean of chemical pollutants, we're right back to where we started.
The cleanest alkaline ionized water possible, with most harmful contaminants rendered scientifically non-detectable.
We have our filtration performance tested at independent certified labs, and I'll never forget the first set of lab reports that came back. I was absolutely in awe at the levels of contamination that were removed, and I mean all across the board. Your VOCs, your organic compounds, your chemicals, your disinfectants, your heavy metals. Yet, everything beneficial such as the calcium, magnesium, potassium remained intact.
I was surprised by such a simple device that it could deliver the type of results that it did.
Through our supercharged media, trapping contaminants across the board while leaving the beneficial alkalizing minerals intact.
Imagine the cleanest and healthiest water. That's the next generation.
We took the opportunity to improve filtration, to give you the opportunity to take back your tap. You can now have the cleanest and healthiest water possible.